Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. I am so excited to talk to you today about credit cards and debit cards. Why? Because before becoming a teacher, I actually worked 4 years at a bank. And one of my jobs was to sell credit cards. So upon selling it, I realized a lot about credit cards that the majority of people don't quite know. All right. So I hope that you learn a lot from this video. Once again, this is the second video of 10. So please try your best to watch all the videos so that you get a big picture, a full picture of what finances are going to look like in your life. All right. You've probably seen credit cards already. Okay. These cards or payment processing ports and or online Apple Pay and or like paying from your phone touchless. All right. So you've seen some type of credit cards most likely in your life as a form of payment to pay for things that you want. Now, there's 4 facts about credit card use, and this is part of your notes here. So for those of you who are taking notes, this is for you. And if I go too quick, please go ahead and pause it and write down a few things, all right? First thing I want you to know is that the median California credit card debt is about $7,390, right? Looking at every Californian. Now, if you include your car loan, your auto, your personal loans and or your educational loans, it becomes about $30,456. And that was based off of a article from Lending Tree in June 2019. About 70% of Americans have at least one credit card, and about 30% of Americans have more than one credit card. Okay, so it's a very popular thing in America, as you can see. The average credit card interest rate charged to borrow money is about 14.79%. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that really means in a bit. And that's, once again, a source credit from shiftprocessing.com and Lending Tree. Okay, and then finally, why is credit important? Okay, so this is a big question that doesn't normally get answered, but I would like to answer based off of my opinion and my experiences. In America, we have something called credit, and in order to get the best rate when buying a car, they look at your credit score, which we'll talk about on Friday on day 5. Okay, so I'll quickly go into a little bit right now if you're curious. So when you go buy a car or you purchase a house and you get a mortgage, they look at your credit rate. And if you look at the blue right there, your credit is defined by how you've paid in the past or not paid your bills in the past. So it's pretty much how responsible are you financially? That is like your GPA for your adult life, called your credit score. Okay, so it's important when you buy a car when you finance a car. So when you get a loan, when you get a mortgage for a house, once again, a loan for a house, and to prove your financial responsibility when you rent an apartment, sometimes for employment and or go to turn on your utilities. I want to quickly tell you off the bat right now, can you live a great life without credit cards and or a credit score? The answer is yes. Okay. Now, once again, I am not telling you what to choose and what not to choose, but I do want to put that out there. Do you have to get a credit card to live life? No. Do you have to get a credit card when buying a car and or getting a house mortgage or turning on utilities? No, there's other ways around it. But once again, there's options. All right, cool. So how do you tell the difference? So here's the main question that people normally ask. How do you tell the difference between a credit card and a debit card? Well, take a look at the left. It says Visa, and take a look at the right. It says Visa as well. Well, both of them are Visas. Visa is a processing company, okay? Like Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover. All these are processing companies. Now, how do you tell if this card is a credit card or a debit card? Well, if it says debit or not. So this one right here, it doesn't say credit or debit. It just says Visa. So this is a credit card. And then whenever it says debit, that is when you know it's a debit card. Now, obviously, both of these cards are going to say Visa. So once again, Visa, MasterCard, that doesn't tell you if it's credit or debit. What tells you if it's credit or debit is if it says debit or not. So once again, this is credit and this is debit on the right. Okay. Okay, here we go. So these are all part of your notes now. And if you're taking notes with us, go ahead and pause it if you need to, but I'm going to quickly go through a few things here. So what's the difference between the two? Debit card versus credit card. Debit card, this is your money that you are spending, okay? Credit card is money that is borrowed to you, okay? So your debit card is your money, so whatever you charge on it is gonna come out of your checking account. Usually a debit card is linked to a checking account. So whatever you charge on that, it's gonna come out of your checking account. Credit card is money borrowed. From who? from the bank, from whatever financial institution that you get your credit card through, it's kind of like a line of credit. So that whenever you charge something, you're borrowing it from them, and then you're gonna have to what? Repay it. Okay, so simply put, debit card your money, credit card money borrowed. Okay. When do you pay your debit card and your credit card? You pay your debit card right when you charge it. Usually there's a PIN number to verify that it's you, but the moment you put in that PIN number and you use your debit card, it comes right out of your account. Your credit card payment, whenever you go to the store and you swipe it, you're gonna pay it normally within the next 30 days. They call it your next statement. So if you charge something today, then you probably would have to pay it off until next month. All right. So once again, you're loaning the money from that financial institution. Wait a minute, but Mr. Chow, I use my debit card at the store as a credit. Okay, so let's go over that real quick. Your debit card, you can charge it as a debit. So once again, if you charge it as a debit, you need to put in your PIN number, and usually it comes out of your checking account immediately that day. Or you could use your debit card as a credit. So if you swipe it and you just hit the credit button and you sign it when needed, then it usually takes 2 to 3 days to come out of your checking account. So right when you swipe it, you're not going to see it pop up immediately usually. It usually takes 1 to maybe 2 or 3 business days for it to show on your checking account statement. All right, so there's 2 ways to run it. But a credit card can only be charged as a credit. Once again, that is a loan from your financial institution. All right, what's the limit? Well, whatever's in your checking account, that is your limit to what you can charge on your debit card, okay? However, let's say you don't know what's in your checking account and you charge a $30 item, but you only have $20 in your account. Depending on how you set up your bank account, it's like opt-in or opt-out. Let's say you do charge $10 over. Will your bank pay it? Most likely it will. Once again, it depends on how you set up your account. But when it does charge you that extra $10, it's going to charge you in addition something called an overdraft fee, which can be $20 to $30 more. So let's say you go to a fast food restaurant and you charge $5 and you only have $1 in that account. Well, if it clears, if it goes through, that fast food item that you just purchased costs like $30 because of that overdraft fee. Now, if this is your first time getting an overdraft fee, I recommend that you talk to your financial institution and tell them, hey, this was a mistake, and just ask, can you reverse that? All right. And then on the right, your credit card, what's the limit of your credit card? Well, whatever your credit limit is. And your credit limit is determined by your credit score. Once again, we'll talk more about this on Friday. And that's usually what you get approved for, and or they raise it over time because of your performance. All right. So it all depends on your credit limit. Everyone's different. When do we pay it? What do we pay in interest? Okay. So interest is something we talked about in our first video. Okay. We talked about compounding interest. Okay. This is if you invest your money. Remember Ben and Arthur? And if you haven't seen this video, please take a look below. I will link it in the description, a link to our first video on investing in the stock market. But if you remember this, we talked about positive interest, where you get money for investing money into the market. Okay, remember that? And how, $16,000 turned into $2.2 million. And that's assuming 12% interest over all those years, all right? Which is a little bit higher, but once again, it was just for the story there. Now, this interest we're talking about is really negative interest. It's money that you're paying back for borrowing money. So this isn't added money. This is money you're paying in addition to using that credit card. So what we pay in interest? Now, your debit card, you do not need to pay any interest. Why? Because it's coming straight out of your checking account. If there's no money, then you can't buy it. Your credit card, it all depends on the card. I've seen that it range from 14 or even as low as 8% sometimes up to 22 or 25%. I think on average, it's about 14% interest on whatever you borrow. That's assuming if you don't pay off your credit card as you go, which we'll talk about in a moment. All right, so hang tight. So if you have no money, then can you buy it? Yes, you can still buy it, but please be careful, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. All right. So I want to give you a sample credit card statement. Every statement will look different depending on which financial institution that you go through. Let's say you take a look at your monthly statement, and in years past, they used to mail it to you, but now since we're going digital, it's like email statements. Most people don't even check their statements. I would recommend that you check your statements from time to time just to make sure that all your charges are correct, or look online. So here's a sample credit card statement. It will say, hey, here's your new balance, $7,390. That's the average credit card debt. Remember from earlier that we wrote down. Now, when you look at your statement, it won't ask you to pay $7,390 up front. Below it, it'll say a minimum payment due. And that minimum payment is usually about 1 to 3% of your balance of that $7,390. And then it'll give you a payment date. So let's say I bought something today, then later on, it's going to charge me in 30 days and it's going to be due in 30 days, at least that minimum payment. Okay. Now, what is the minimum payment and what do we need to know? The minimum payment is what you need to pay in order for you to be on good terms with your bank and for your credit score to be in good shape. However, it's not what you probably should pay because of this. This is a bank rate calculator that I've used, and I'll put the link in the description below if you want to play around with it. But let's say you owe a total of $7,390 and you only pay the minimum payments. Assuming you're not spending any more money on this credit card, you're leaving it at $7,390, but you pay every single minimum payment. So you keep paying $147. Now, once again, your interest is about 14.75%. That's what I've used to tabulate this. And what I want to show you is this. If you only pay the minimum payment, once again, we're saying $7,390 only. The minimum payment is $147. It would take you over 30 years to repay this card. You're like, wait a minute. No. If you divide this by that, that's not 30 plus years, but remember, it's 14.7% interest. Now, the total payment, if you only paid the minimum payment, I want to show you these numbers to show you that this is no joke here, that if you charge $7,390 and you only paid the minimum, you would end up paying over 30 years, $18,385. Some of you are like, well, I would never do that. Well, if you take a look at the average Californian median credit card balance, it's $7,390. That's $10,000 interest that you're paying back over 30 years to the bank for borrowing $7,300. Okay. So be careful whenever you're doing this. What's the annual cost of having a debit card? Usually for a debit card, I haven't seen them charge an annual fee for it because it's just your checking account and it's a link to it. So none. But on the right, your credit, it all depends on the card. Some cards will promise you all these amazing perks. Well, they will give you these amazing perks for spending money on your credit card, but they'll charge you an annual fee about $50 to about $100, etc. All right. So it all depends on the card. Please make sure you look at the fine print and ask them, hey, what's the annual cost of me having this card? Okay. So please be careful. What are the perks and benefits of spending? For a debit card, there's really no perks anymore. There used to be. I remember as a kid, like there used to be, but now there's really none. But for credit card, they entice you to get a credit card by showing you perks. I remember in high school, I was buying a suit for my prom, and I was at a local shopping store, and they said, hey, I see that your tux costs $200 or something like that. If you sign up for a credit card right now, then you'll get $100 back. And I went, wait, really? Like I can just get 50% off my purchase, and or something like that. Like there's some promotion. All right. And I called my mom, and my mom immediately said, no, don't do it. I'll tell you about it when we get home. So I didn't do it. But once again, there's so many perks out there that people are going to entice you to open up a card. But I would be careful, and I would make sure you check with a parent and or a financial advisor in order to do that. Okay. So there's perks, there's free airplane tickets, and there's cash back. Now, if you know that you're going to be spending money, and you're like, well, I might as well get perks from it, then go for it. But usually for the credit cards with a lot of perks, there's an annual fee. So please be careful. And another perk is to build your credit. Okay. Another perk is to build your credit, which we'll talk about on Friday. I do got to say this, with everything that's been going on now, and with all the online shopping that's going on, there's another benefit to having a credit card. Now, a debit card, if someone hacks you, then they're going to get your checking account money. Now, can you get it back? Yes, there's insurances. You can call the 1-800 number on the back of your card and just tell them, hey, I got hacked. Someone's taking this money. I did not authorize it. And they'll do an investigation, but then they'll give it back. Okay. So that's happened to a lot of people that I know. For the credit card, if someone hacks you, then they're going to get the bank's money. And once again, I would follow up with that financial institution. I would call that number on the back of the card and say, hey, I did not authorize this. I have no idea where this is coming from. Can you please investigate this and help me out? And they will. And there's so many things in place for them to do that. Okay. So in my opinion, if someone's going to hack me, I would rather them hack the bank's money than hack my own personal account. Okay. So there's another added perk that I got to say. Takeaways. Think twice and consult a parent before signing to open up a credit card. Once you open up a credit card, I would really think twice before closing it. Can you close a credit card? Yes. But normally people don't. Why? Because when you close it, it's going to affect your credit score. Okay. And I'll talk more about that on Friday. If you do make a charge on your credit card, make sure you pay it off before the next statement so that you don't pay any interest. Never buy something that you don't have money for. And with great power comes great responsibility. All right. So there are some clear takeaways here from this video. I don't want you to just get knowledgeable about what debit cards and credit cards are, but I want you to know that there's a lot of financial responsibility whenever you borrow money from someone and or the bank through a credit card. Here's what I've done personally. I only have one credit card and I've been able to go through life successfully with only one credit card. And they've raised my credit limit over the years. I've never paid interest on using my credit card. My card has no annual fee. My card gives about 2 to even 5% cash back, depending on what I purchase, back to me. I pay it off within a few days after purchasing something. What I do is I just go online and I just transfer from my checking account to my credit card and I just pay it off. I don't wait till 30 days to pay it off. I just do it immediately and it's been fine. Even though my limit is high, so now my credit limit is in the tens of thousands of dollars, I only purchase what I need. Just because I can doesn't mean I should. So I only purchase what I need. Before I purchase something big, I usually wait 24 hours. And that's something that I've always done. Even if I know I need it and I want it, I just wait 24 hours. And sometimes I'll even go home. Now, if I go back to purchase this, it means that I really need it and that I really want it. All right. So there's a lot of things that I've done in my life in order to prevent from just making random purchases. Look, I just love to save money and my lifestyle is just simple. I'm like a super simple guy. I don't need much to be happy in life. All right. So that's what's worked for me. Thank you for letting me share. And I just hope that you've learned something about credit cards and debit cards today and that this will serve you well in life. See you tomorrow. And thanks for watching these videos.